There are ideas so powerful that they outlive their creators, and this is one of them. Today we'll explore a frightening theory, one that explains how entire societies lose the ability to think, how intelligent people become instruments of destruction, and why ignorance isn't the absence of intelligence, but its surrender. In this video, you'll understand how stupidity becomes a tool of power, how it shapes the modern world, and what that means for your freedom to think. If you stay until the end, you'll discover how to protect your mind in an age designed to control it. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was not just a theologian. He was a man who saw reason collapse before his very eyes. Born in 1906 into a cultured and intellectual German family, he believed in dialogue and moral conscience. But when the Nazi regime rose to power, Bonhoeffer witnessed something even more terrifying than cruelty. He saw intelligent and rational people give up thinking for themselves. That's when he realized this wasn't ordinary ignorance. It was something deeper, a collective blindness that made evil possible. Bonhoeffer's insight was simple and terrifying. The greatest threat to civilization is not evil, it's stupidity, because evil eventually destroys itself. It provokes resistance, outrage, and moral response. But stupidity believes itself to be virtuous. It thinks it's doing good, and that's what makes it unstoppable. It spreads quietly, through obedience, conformity, and the comfort of not questioning. In 1943, imprisoned for opposing Hitler, Bonhoeffer wrote, "Against stupidity we are defenseless." He wasn't talking about a lack of intelligence. He was describing what happens when people abandon their intellectual independence, when thinking becomes too costly, dangerous, or exhausting. Under such pressure, they stop reasoning for themselves and start repeating what the group believes. We trade judgment for social acceptance. Decades later, psychology confirmed what he already knew. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch's experiment showed that 75% of people agree with the group even when they know it's wrong. Stanley Milgram proved that ordinary people obey cruel orders from an authority figure. Bonhoeffer had seen this long before. When thinking differently threatens one's sense of safety, most choose comfort over truth. That's how stupidity becomes systemic. Bonhoeffer understood that stupidity is not an individual flaw, but a social condition, a system that rewards obedience and punishes doubt. Today, that system is more sophisticated than ever. Social media amplifies anger and outrage, not reflection. It rewards emotional reactions, not critical thought. Each click, each share feeds a machine designed to weaken your judgment and strengthen conformity. This is what Bonhoeffer called functional stupidity, a state in which intelligent people stop questioning because it's easier not to think. Economists call it rational ignorance. When life is hard, when there's debt, fear, and information overload, thinking feels like a luxury. But what begins as exhaustion turns into submission, and systems of power feed on that. Because no one can control a person who thinks freely, only those who've stopped thinking. What's most frightening is that our brain cooperates with this process. Neuroscience shows that we're wired to prefer speed over accuracy, familiarity over truth, comfort over doubt. These mental shortcuts helped our ancestors survive. But today, they make us vulnerable to manipulation. Every time you scroll your feed, the algorithm learns what confirms your beliefs and traps you inside an invisible bubble, a pleasant illusion of truth. In Bonhoeffer's time, propaganda spread through newspapers and radios. Today, it spreads in seconds. Lies travel 6 times faster than truth on social media. And artificial intelligence now manufactures entire realities, forgeries so perfect that they collapse the very notion of truth. It's not just a social problem, it's a direct attack on our cognition. We are witnessing the industrialization of human ignorance. Bonhoeffer believed that thought was the last refuge of human freedom. But when thinking becomes uncomfortable, most people choose the safety of conformity. And that's the moment reason begins to crumble silently. Truth stops being a collective value and becomes something shaped by emotion. Logic gives way to identity, and dialogue is replaced by fanaticism. History shows that this is always the first sign of a civilization's decay. When an entire group stops thinking, what Bonhoeffer called the collective mind emerges. In it, people no longer reflect, they simply repeat. The illusion of consensus offers a dangerous comfort, the comfort of never having to doubt. But that peace comes at a price. It dissolves individual responsibility and creates a mass that acts without conscience. It's the kind of obedience that has fueled regimes, wars, and persecutions throughout history. Today we live the digital version of the same phenomenon. Algorithms now play the role once held by dictators. They shape what you see, what you believe, even what you feel. They don't silence you, they distract you. And the result is the same. A population convinced it is free while repeating thoughts that aren't its own. Stupidity, once imposed, is now programmed. And the price is the silent loss of mental autonomy. Bonhoeffer called the antidote costly grace, the courage to think for yourself even when it's painful, unpopular, or dangerous. Resisting isn't only about defying the system, but confronting your own mental laziness. It's always easier to obey than to question, easier to belong than to stand alone. But thinking for yourself, in a world that profits from distraction, is an act of rebellion, and perhaps the purest form of courage. Bonhoeffer's warning wasn't meant to scare us, but to wake us up. We can resist functional stupidity through small daily acts. Practice intellectual friction. Read ideas you disagree with. Slow down before sharing something. Ask yourself, what evidence would make me change my mind? And above all, learn to say, I don't know. Admitting uncertainty isn't weakness. It's the first step toward wisdom. Bonhoeffer was executed in April 1945, just weeks before the war ended. His last words were, "This is the end. For me, the beginning of life." He died defending the right to think freely, and his message remains urgent. Every time we stop thinking critically, we cease to be fully human. We become puppets guided by the loudest force of the moment. The danger of stupidity isn't that it makes people foolish, it's that it makes them obedient. So ask yourself, when was the last time you truly changed your mind? When did you choose curiosity over certainty? In a world that profits from our surrender, thinking is the most radical act there is. Each time you pause, reflect, and question, you protect something sacred, the possibility of human wisdom. Because in an age of artificial stupidity, thinking clearly isn't just a sign of intelligence, it's an act of resistance.